На 12!
Right on target. The Serebryansky Forest suddenly becomes the scene of a fierce confrontation that could change the course of the war in eastern Ukraine. The world-renowned and feared 12th Azov Brigade is preparing to prove once again that the Ukrainian resistance is unbeatable. With a bold plan, they seek to launch a decisive assault against the Russian positions hidden in the dense foliage of the forest. What they don't know is that the enemy is waiting for them, entrenched in the shadows, ready for a lethal ambush. This confrontation in the forest is not just another battle. It is a fight that will define the resistance of both sides. In this spectacular video, you will learn about a key operation of the Azov Brigade, where you will experience minute by minute the assault on a Russian trench system. Get ready to witness one of the most epic battles of contemporary warfare. Let's get started.
Плюс пішла мощно. Укриття! Граната! Блядь, проблема. Сука. Хорошо.
Since its founding on May 5, 2014, the Azov Brigade has played a crucial role in the defense of Ukraine. Initially formed by volunteers, this unit has evolved into one of the most trained and feared forces in the Ukrainian army, formally joining the National Guard. During the conflict that began in Donbass and led to the current brutal war, Azov gained notoriety for its combat efficiency, especially in urban battles and guerrilla operations. The contest between Russia and Ukraine, which began on February 24, 2022, and still has no end in sight, is not just a battle for territory. It is an existential struggle for Kyiv. The fighting on the Eastern Front, where Russian forces have concentrated many of their attacks, is brutal and continuous. There, in this modern trench warfare, the Azov Brigade is not only fighting for the survival of its nation, but also to prove that this country can resist the Russian giant. Today, we will explore in detail a key operation in the Serebryansky Forest, where on August 23, 2024, soldiers of the 12th Brigade carried out a carefully planned combat mission with the aim of recapturing positions held by the enemy. Let's start by listening to one of the protagonists of this video, Major Arsen Lemko Dmitro, commander of the Azov Brigade.
Нам потрібно було стабілізувати ситуацію, яка була на межі критичної в лісі.
The appointed day arrives. The first rays of dawn are just beginning to stain the horizon as the soldiers of the Azov Brigade silently prepare. The air is thick with moisture, and the Serebryansky Forest looms like a dark, dense labyrinth, full of traps and ambushes. The soldiers are divided into small assault teams that will be backed up by the brigade's artillery, in case the enemy's defenses are strengthened. Each soldier is well equipped. Many of them carry M4 rifles, extra ammunition, grenades, and communications equipment. Although the forces are ready for any eventuality, the faces of the fighters reflect total concentration. They know that every mission on this front is a matter of life or death. A low, almost imperceptible sound marks the beginning of the advance of the first assault teams. The footsteps of the Azov soldiers move in tight formation, moving between the trees and avoiding any noise that would give away their position. The objective is about 300 meters away. Although it seems like only a few steps away, a recently reinforced Russian trench system stretches along the hill, flanked by half-buried bunkers. They have been precisely constructed. The earth is compacted and the underground shelters are designed to withstand artillery. Previous intelligence reports indicate that this sector is a key piece in the enemy defenses, and its fall could weaken the entire front line in the region.
Оголошували старшим групам, бійцям, командирам з водіїв, що нам головне, не потрібно було втратити темп. Це саме основне було. Ми ставили акцент на швидкості. Тобто вся операція по наших рахунках повинна була зайняти до 3 годин.
The soldiers reach the first line of approach undetected. Ordered to attack in coordinated groups, the reconnaissance team sends a signal to the Ukrainian gunners in the rear. A few seconds later, the sky lights up as the first grenades explode near the Russian trenches, creating initial confusion among the invaders. Taking advantage of the chaos, the Azov teams advance rapidly. The explosions disorganize the Russian defenses, and the first assault team from Kyiv moves with deadly speed. The initial direct contact occurs when the Azov vanguard team enters the trenches. The Russians, surprised by the attack, try to react by firing from the defensive positions, but are overwhelmed by the speed and strength of the Kyiv soldiers. Within a few minutes, the Azov Brigade has neutralized several Russian posts and continues to advance along the trenches.
Увага, увага!
Давай, выводь. Пострел!
Понеслась, прием. Концерт по заявкам, начали.
A Russian soldier, stunned and disoriented by the attack, attempts to throw a grenade but is shot down before he can even throw it. The fighting is brutal, and casualties are mounting quickly on both sides. The crossfire intensifies as Russian reinforcements try to organize a defense in the deeper trenches. Azov soldiers remain on the move constantly, throwing hand grenades and using their automatic rifles to push the Russians back. Ukrainian artillery continues to pound the more distant positions, preventing the Kremlin men from receiving reinforcements from the rear. At this point, those enemy soldiers attempt to respond with mortar fire from an elevated point. Explosions shake the ground around the trenches, but Azov's teams are well dispersed and manage to avoid most direct hits. The Ukrainians take control of the first line of defenses. The remaining Russians in this section, outnumbered and outgunned, try to retreat to deeper positions. However, the Azov soldiers give no respite and have an ingenious way of repelling enemy attacks. Mines.
Лінії фронту. Ми повинні були зайти, відволікти на себе ворога, провести там бій, зачистити певну ділянку, потім там закріпитись, замінувати її і по ітозі, коли вже інша група штурмова, основна, закріпиться, зробить цю роботу, зачистить, закріпиться, почне окапуватися.
Там хтось і був.
Я ще одну гранату.
Попередь їх!
The Ukrainian artillery team is ordered to adjust its fire towards the enemy positions further away. The shells continue to fall with deadly precision, further demoralizing the Russian defenders. The advance is unstoppable. In a tactical pause, the Azov teams regroup their forces and review the captured positions. The soldiers under Putin's command, unable to stop the attack, have left behind defensive ditches that are now under Ukrainian control. The Russians had built a strong system that had served as a refuge, and now the Kiev army had to explore it and confirm that there were no surprises along the way.
Сука, там бійниця, блядь.
Справа бійниця, справа зліва.
Зліва бійниця.
Стоп. Червоний, проходив. Рухаюся.
Плюс. Я тримаю ліво. Давай.
Граната?
Чітко.
The Azov advance continues to hold firm, with Ukrainian artillery supporting from the rear and chaos reigning among the Russian ranks. The soldiers manage to take the last forward positions. The Russian defenders, overwhelmed by the force of the assault, try to reorganize and counterattack. With the trenches captured and secured, the Azov forces begin the process of fortifying the new positions. The Russian prisoners are taken into custody to a safe area, although the enemy fire does not seem to cease.
Я прокидував гранату, да.
Продовжуємо рух, коп чистий.
Все, жди. Слідчий. Ща, давай. Тримай.
The Azov soldiers, though exhausted, feel a renewed sense of purpose. They know that every meter gained represents a step toward defending their homeland, but that in every trench passage there is a bloodthirsty Russian. Concentration shifts to restructuring and strengthening their positions. The brigade receives reinforcements and new supplies. Transport vehicles arrive with new supplies. Transport vehicles arrive with additional provisions and equipment. Logistics are critical in these types of operations, and the ability to maintain a fluid line can make the difference between life and death on the battlefield. The arrival of new soldiers further boosts the brigade's morale. They know that, although the fight is not over, they have the backing they need to face any eventuality. As the reinforcements come together, the Azov commander calls a quick meeting. The plan is clear. They must take advantage of this first successful attack and continue to press the enemy. Every man and woman in the brigade knows that, although their faces are dirty and stained with blood, their spirit is indomitable.
Контролю прямо.
Прямо.
Самаха, поможи,
прямо.
Арт, я заберу твій тек.
Надо граната.
Плюс. Півпав.
A tense silence falls over the forest, but the Azov fighters remain vigilant, ready to respond to any sign of danger. Experience has taught the soldiers that calm on the battlefield can be deceptive, and tranquility can precede a storm. Suddenly, a group advances to the east where Russian movements are observed in the distance. The brigade prepares for a possible counterattack. The artillery, strategically placed, is ready to respond to any attempt to recover by the Russian forces. The soldiers take up defensive positions with rifles pointed towards the horizon. The tension in the air is palpable. Everyone knows that the battle is not over and that the fight for control of this area is vital to the security of their country. The silence is broken when a group of Russian vehicles appears on the road. The Azov brigade remains in position, waiting for the commander's order to open fire. Patience is key at this moment. The soldiers must wait for the right moment to maximize the impact of their attack. With a cry of "Fire!", Azov soldiers begin firing. Artillery hurls shells at the Russian positions, and the echoes of the explosions reverberate through the forest. The attack is swift and devastating. Russian vehicles are hit and enemy soldiers are left at a disadvantage. Suddenly, chaos takes over the battlefield. Azov members, moving with determination, advance towards the enemy in a coordinated attack. The ground shakes with the impact of the explosions, and the air fills with smoke and gunpowder. Every soldier feels the adrenaline rush through his body. The bravery of the 12th Special Forces Brigade shines through at this critical moment. They run, shooting and throwing grenades, determined to protect their land and their loved ones. The battle turns into a fierce exchange of fire, where courage and strategy are tested at every second. As enemy fire subsides, Azov soldiers manage to take control of another section of the Russian positions. The once fortified trenches are now a symbol of Ukrainian resistance. The flag flutters in the wind as soldiers shout in jubilation, celebrating their victory. Russian prisoners are led away to safety. The brigade has demonstrated its ability not only to attack, but also to capture and hold the enemy. This success is crucial for the future operations of the Ukrainian forces.
Hi.
4 ворожі позиції. В ході проведення наступальної операції особовий склад 12-ї бригади спеціального призначення «Азов» проявив себе рішуче, мужньо та вкрай професійно. Нашими силами в ході стрілецьких боїв та вогнем артилерії було знищено 13 військовослужбовців противника, 12 було поранено та 2 взято в полон. Після чого вони були передані відповідним структурам для подальших обмінів. По завершенню операції нам вдалося покращити тактичне положення на глибину до 400 метрів та 500 метрів по лінії фронту.
Russian casualties amount to 25. This is a significant number for this type of fighting. It is time to consolidate control over the captured terrain and prepare new offensives. While the fortification teams work, communication between units remains active. Azov leaders send reports to their superiors, highlighting the success of the operation, enemy casualties, and the capture of prisoners. Every detail counts in the grand strategy of war. Despite the accumulated fatigue, the fighting spirit remains alive.
Своїми рексами та хлопці відпрацювали на відмінно, всі на ура, і дуже приємно чути, що навіть хлопці, які отримали поранення, неодноразово говорять, що командир ми швидко заграємо.
With control of the Serebryansky forest in their hands, the Azov Brigade prepares to advance towards new victories. This operation not only improves their tactical position, it also sends a powerful message to the enemy. The Ukrainian resistance is fierce and determined. The mission on August 23, 2024, represents not only a military success, but also a testament to the courage, determination, and professionalism of the Azov Battalion. Every soldier who participated in this fight has become a symbol of the national struggle. Their ability to carry out such a bold and effective mission proves that, despite the odds, Ukraine can resist and take back what belongs to it. With every meter gained and every position secured, the Azov Brigade is not only fighting for its land, but also for the freedom and dignity of its people. The history of this battle will be remembered as a heroic chapter in the war, a representation of what it means to fight for sovereignty in a world where aggression knows no bounds. So the time has come to say goodbye. We invite you to subscribe to the